Hello, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Let's make some beef patties. Here I have my ground beef. For my seasoning, I have red pepper flakes, seasoning salt, paprika, all-purpose, onion and garlic powder, and some Cajun seasoning. And over here I have some all-purpose flour, some green seasoning, and I have some ketchup, some sweet soy sauce, and some dark soy sauce. So to a heated pan, I'm just going to go ahead and add the ground beef, and I'm just going to break this up and allow this to brown up nicely and cook, and then I'll show you what I do next. Now that the beef is nicely cooked, I'm just going to go ahead and remove most of this liquid. Right here, it is greasy and we don't want this in our patty. So I'm just going to go ahead and scoop out as much as possible, or you could go ahead and drain this in a colander. But I just feel like doing it right here with my spoon, so I'm just going to go ahead and season this up. So to this, I'm going to add my green seasoning blend and my spices. I will leave a recipe on how I make the green seasoning down below, so you could go ahead and check that out. Now I'm just going to flavor this up some more. I'm going to add some dark soy sauce and some sweet soy sauce just to balance that out. Give it a good mix. Then I'm going to go in with some hot water, and I'm just going to allow this to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. After 15 to 20 minutes, my ground beef is ready for some more stuff. So to this, I'm just going to taste and adjust. Remember, you want to taste and adjust to your liking. So I went in with a little herb roasted seasoning. And as I said before, you could use your favorite seasoning. So to this, I'm going to add some ketchup. Give it a good mix. Now I'm going to go in with my hand blender. Now if you don't have a hand blender, you could add this to your blender and puree it. I like my beef patty to be on the smoother side. We don't want all that chunk, so I went ahead and puree this with my hand blender. But as I said before, use whatever you have. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of all-purpose flour to thicken this up, and I'm going to allow this to cook for another 5 to 10 minutes to allow the raw flour to cook out and thicken up my meat. And there you have it. So after another 5 to 10 minutes, the meat is fully cooked, and you at this point you don't want it to be too thick. You want it to be nice and loose, because once it cools down, it's going to solidify a bit, and you don't want a dry patty. You want a nice juicy patty. So I'm going to set this aside and allow this to cool down completely. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the dough. So to my food processor, here I'll be using my food processor, but feel free to use your hands. I'm going to add some flour, and I have some salt, some curry powder, and some turmeric powder. So I'm just going to add that, and I'm going to go in with some sugar and some cold butter. I'm going to pulse this until everything is nice and combined and it resembles breadcrumbs. I will leave the full measurement down below so you could go ahead and check it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some ice cold water to this, and I will leave the measurement water ratio to the dough flour ratio. Now we're going to allow this to come together. We're going to put this on a mat or your clean work surface. Here I'm using my silicone pastry mat. Don't mind the color. Yes, it's a bit burnt because it's used in the oven a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull my dough together. So you just want to clump the dough together. You don't really want to mix that much. At this point, you just want to get your dough together. And yeah. Now I'm going to cover this and put it in the fridge to rest for about 30 to 40 minutes before adding my layers of butter. Actually, this was actually 2 hours later, and my dough is nice and soft and pliable. And I'm going to roll this out, and then I'm going to add my butter. Now the more butter you add, the more flakier your patty will be, and the more you fold the dough, that's how you get those nice flaky bits and pieces. So this part is actually a lot of work, yes, but hey, if you want to have a nice decent looking patty, juicy patty, yes, you gotta put in the work. And guess guys, my camera lighting is off at some point. I don't know why that's happening, but yes. Now I'm going to grate on the first layer of butter. And you want to make sure that the butter is super cold before grating, because if the butter is soft, you won't be able to achieve the grated texture. Now I'm going to fold this over and then come in with the other side. And the more, as I mentioned before, the more you fold the patty, the more layers of flakiness you will have, because the folding, that's what creates the layers in the patty. Now we're going to roll this out, and then we're going to add a second layer of butter. Now you could add 3 if you like. I went ahead and just add 2 layers. And if you find it sticking throughout the rolling process, just dust with a little bit of flour. You don't have to do too much, just a little to you know, let it flow nicely. Now in with my second layer of butter, and as I mentioned before, you want the butter to be nice and cold, so make sure you have your butter in your freezer just before grating. Now at this point my dough was getting a bit too warm, so I add the butter, then I'm going to place this in the refrigerator to cool down a bit before rolling it out. Well, I didn't roll it out that day again. This is actually the next day, and I'm going to roll and bake my patties. So I went in with a little bit of flour to flour my surface. Now I'm going to roll. And just because I want a few more layers, I'm going to fold and create a few more layers in my patty dough, and I'm going to allow this to rest again for another 10 minutes. Now once you're finished rolling out your patty dough, I'm just going to divide this in half, because I'm going to work with these in half because I'll be making 2 separate patties. Now this is what you want to see. This is how your flaky patty crust is achieved with all these layers inside the patty dough. So I'm just going to set this aside to rest for the 10 minutes that I mentioned. Now I'm going to form my patties. Now I'm just going to roll this out as thin as I want. So it depends on the thickness you want your patty crust to have. I personally do not like a thick patty crust, so I'm just going to roll this out to my liking. And as you can see, my layer is there, and you can see those specks of butter. That's what's going to bake and puff up in the oven, allowing you to have nice flaky patty. So I'm going to go in with my trusty pot cover. If you have a cookie cutter or whatever surface you have that is big enough to make a patty, go ahead and use it. I'll be using my pot cover for this one. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I form my patties. Now here's my meat that has been chilling in the fridge, because you want it nice and cold so it doesn't melt the butter in the dough before baking. And you don't really want to add too much filling in the patty, because it will burst open in the oven. Speaking from experience, yes guys, you don't want to overfill the patty or it will burst. Now I'm just going to use a fork, dip it into some flour, and I'm going to seal the edges of the patty, making it look pretty. Now Now I'm going to take my pizza cutter and just trim it up a bit, making it look a bit more presentable. And meanwhile I'm making these, I am storing them in my refrigerator, rather freezer, so they keep nice and chill until everything is done. And this is my first patty, and I'll show you the rest when I'm done. Now I did went ahead and make a few cheese patties as well. So yes, I add the filling to the patty, and then I added some cheese to the patty. So this kind of cheese will melt nicely and you will get a nice creamy melted cheese in the patty. Now because I'm making more than one patty, I'm making the cheese patty, I'll be making some soy patty. I add a little bit of food coloring to the patties so I can differentiate them when they're baked. Now that I'm done, I'm just gonna bake these in a 375 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes. And I went ahead and did some soy patty as well, which has the green food coloring on it. After that, this is what my patties are looking like, and they're smelling amazing at this point. The lighting makes them look a bit green, but trust me guys, these patties are yellow. I don't know what's up with my lighting, and these patties were flaky and juicy and delicious. And typically patty is served with cocoa bread, and here I'm showing you how I put mine with the cocoa bread. A video on how to make the cocoa bread will be down below, so you could check that out, and that video is coming soon, so I'll link it down below. And these patty were so good, homemade, flaky, juicy and delicious. Here I break into one of the soy patties to let you see how it looks. These were so good. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about it. Don't forget to like, comment, share and follow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.